The City Channel presents the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum, featuring the 6 candidates running for Cupertino City Council.
You will find on your table an appropriate card if you have any questions that you would like addressed to the candidates. We are going to attempt to compile and consolidate those so that we may ask various questions, time permitting. There will not be time for questions from the audience, I don't believe. Other than that, we have promised our candidates that everything is fair and you can ask about anything you may want to. We are not here to embarrass them. We're here to ask fairly straightforward questions, hopefully from which we can glean good information when we make our decisions to vote. So do keep that in mind if you would. One other suggestion I might make to you. We're here to hear their questions, not necessarily to hear ours. So when you put these questions together, keep that in the back of your mind. This is going to be a closely scripted program. We want to leave as much time as we possibly can for our candidates. We do have, obviously, some recognition that we owe to the City of Cupertino for joining the Chamber in co-sponsoring this forum, and there will be further thanks as we go along. Let me introduce to you now our moderator for today, Rich Abdalah of the law firm of Jackson, McAllister, and Abdalah, who's Vice President of Government Relations for your Chamber of Commerce. Rich.
Well, I'm thrilled to death we have such a good turnout. It's terrific to see everyone here. Welcome to our 1991 Candidates Forum. This is an orchestrated program, and I'd like to thank some people who have been helpful to me, to our chamber today, of putting the questions together. I just want to go through their names because we are in a bit of a hurry here. Herman Hitchmans, Karen Howard, and Waylon Lim. Why don't you all stand for just a second, please? They helped me put the questions together. Thank you very much. Now, the format of the program. We will give each candidate 2 minutes to give an introductory comment. Thereafter, I have a series of questions that have been formulated as a result of information and questions sent to us by you and by our chamber members. Each candidate will have a chance to have 1 minute to answer each question. We will start with Steve on the first question, and then we will rotate, beginning each question to the next person. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer each question if they wish. At the end, each candidate will have 2 minutes to give a closing statement. If we are running late, I'd like the prerogative to cut that down to 1 minute if I could. Now, I want to apologize in advance because the real person who has the power here is Bees Jones. Bees is sitting in front, and she has the timing for 30 seconds on the 1 minute questions and then stop. And if I interrupt you, I apologize now, but I'm going to do that. We did this 2 years ago, and it worked out very well. So hope we don't have to do that, and I'm sure we won't. All right. I'd like to read the first question, and we will start to my far left with Mr. Haze. The city... Oh, I'm sorry. Can we roll back the camera? I'm sorry. We'll start with Stephen and give Stephen his 2 minutes. I apologize. Go ahead.
Thank you, Richard. Can you hear me okay? I think so. My name is Stephen Haze, and of course, I'm running for Cupertino City Council. I've been a resident of Santa Clara Valley for well over 35 years. Most recently, 13 years as a resident of Cupertino. I've been married 18 years. I have a degree in applied economics. I have 20 years of operational and planning experience, currently as a business planner for Abdalah Corporation. I have 10 years of civic and governmental involvement in the city and this region. The objectives of my platform are the following: enhance the economic vitality of our community, provide benefits to the people who live and work in the city, promote efficient government services and fiscal responsibility. My platform consists of a downtown renaissance, accessible open space, neighborhood participation, preservation, and housing, energy, water, and solid waste management, government, citizen, and business partnerships, and regional cooperation that benefits Cupertino. The sum total is to enhance the overall quality of life for our citizens and those that work here in Cupertino. As many members of the 1990 Citizen Goals Committee and citizens have stated, we need to bring back the heart of the city. My platform is an attempt to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Bloom. I've been asked to ask the candidates to bring the microphones as close to them as they speak as possible so that the voice can be picked up very clearly. Will you let us know if that's okay? Okay.
My name is Ed Bloom. Did you all get your poppy seed packets? I figure even if I lose the election, at least the city will probably be a little prettier, more blooms around. As you can see from my history, I've always been involved. College groups, JCs, 12 years with the Cupertino Kiwanis, 21 years with the Cupertino Chamber of Commerce. Last year, I volunteered to serve on the Cupertino Goals Committee. I spent what seemed like a lifetime during that 7 months. One landowner said if I wanted a park, he could bring his bulldozer over to my house. One welfare advocate said that if I and my friends weren't sure we wanted to live next to low-income apartments, maybe I should get some new friends. Seemed like everyone there had a specific cause they wanted to promote. I discovered that owners of large tracts of land were represented, welfare recipients and senior citizens were loudly represented, people who work here but don't live here were represented, and developers were very well represented. The only people who did not seem to be represented were the individual citizens, the people we were all supposed to be representing. That's who I want to represent. The person who only wants to live here in a nice, well-run community with friendly neighbors, well-kept streets and parks. Now, I don't have all the answers to all the problems facing Cupertino, and I'm not always right. Just ask my wife or my kids, they'll vouch for that. But I do know the answers will not be found by packing our city to the gills with subsidized low-income apartments. We won't find the answers to our problems by building high-rises 55% bigger like the Apple Sobrato complex. And we won't find the answers by building a 14-foot-high, not-so-great, as compared to the Great Wall of China, not-so-great Wall of Cupertino around the Portofino development. As I watched the City Council in action, it seemed like the same group, the average resident...
Excuse me, you've used your 2 minutes. Thank you.
I want to help give the resident this life here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cochrane.
Thank you. The question was asked why I chose to be a candidate for Cupertino City Council. I have a desire to help in the city I chose as a home. I have 2 young children, and I moved to Cupertino for its semi-rural atmosphere. I have a business background, both in small and large business. As a manager at Apple, I manage the product marketing organizations for Apple's $2.5 billion peripherals product marketing group, and included pricing, product strategy, and distribution strategies. I also now operate 2 small businesses. One is my family's farm in the San Joaquin Valley, and a financial consulting business that I operate out of Sunnyvale. I view several issues right now as being important to the city. Number one, managing our city's finances. We need to take a look at our income and our revenues and determine how we can increase our revenues over time. And we need to do this, it seems to me, by increasing our revenues from sales taxes. In other words, by increasing our retail sales. We can't have any new taxes for businesses in the city. I just don't see any room for it right now. And if we increase our taxes for businesses, we're going to run the businesses out of the city. The second issue that's important is managing traffic and congestion in the city. And I've heard this from hundreds of residents when I've been out walking. Number one is we need to consider computerization of signals along Stevens Creek Boulevard. And I don't know how many of you get caught in that every day, but I sure do, and it's a mess. We need to get more involved with regional decisions. Things like light rail in Cupertino. We need to get involved in these issues earlier on to have more of an impact on a regional basis. And we can't erect any new barriers to our traffic in the city, such as the Grand Boulevard scheme, which would reduce traffic from 6 lanes to 4. The third issue that I hear from people most often is open space and parks. And we need to raise money to buy the land at St. Joseph's. We need to find a way to keep that as open space, or as much of it as possible. But it really doesn't look to me like it can be a city-funded program, even though the city should be involved and should participate. We also need to augment and enhance our existing parks and equipment for our young children and our senior citizens. I think those 3 are the major issues, and I appreciate the time to talk with you today.
Thank you. Now we'll move to Mr. Dean.
Thank you. What I'd like to address today, I'm not going to read you anything, I'm not going to give you campaign slogans. I think what's critical to realize is you are the nucleus of the success of Cupertino. You have to understand this. What's going on in this community right now, people are not aware that they think property taxes are paying for everything. They're not. They're not. It's you, the business community. We have to make you competitive, and we're not competitive. Look at the vacancies in the shopping centers. Look at the vacancies in the strip centers. We need to turn it around so it's a successful program. People need to learn the significance of the Cupertino business community. And I mean capital letters. They need to know you're important to them. Your success reflects on the city's cost. It's the income source. You need to know that. What we've generated, a business plan in 1980 that said more people, more employment, more growth means more money. That is not held true. 1984, we basically not peaked out, we flattened out. Revenue has not increased since that time. 1 year, in 1990, we exceeded that issue by a couple $100,000, and that was it. Look at the development that's taken place. We need to generate people's attitudes, interests, and habit patterns to the merchants of Cupertino. You're the link. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to Mr. Shwe.
Yeah, for the past decade, my extensive participation in service organizations gives me a good understanding of our community, its residents, and their needs. During my tenure on the Cupertino School Board, I have contributed to advancing the district's achievement and its reputation nationwide as a leader in education and innovation. Despite funding cuts from the state, my cost containment and revenue enhancement measures have contributed significantly to balancing our budget without cutting programs. Each of these improvements was accomplished with my team-building approach so that all involved were able to participate in the process and identify with the solutions. I would like to bring the same leadership style to the city of Cupertino. Budget cuts at the state and federal level, coupled with the current recession, threaten the funding of city services. I would like to, 1, open up the budget adoption process and identify cost containment measures. 2, build partnerships with the private sectors and public agencies to optimize the use of our assets. 3, form a consortium consisting of business owners and community leaders to plan and promote a prosperous business environment which will enhance city revenue. No city in this region can do its land use planning in a vacuum. We must consider the impact on our region as a whole, since jobs, housing, and transportation are very much interdependent. I am committed to promoting regional cooperation. Furthermore, I understand diversity and believe that my presence on the City Council will be a catalyst to promote greater involvement by the Asian Americans who have much to offer in Cupertino.
Thank you. Move to Ms. Koppel.
Of the 6 candidates running for office, I'm the only incumbent that has a proven track record of results. I've worked hard to enhance the quality of life in Cupertino. I led the council in purchasing the Cupertino Sports Center and saving the ice skating rink. I chaired Measure T to purchase Blackberry Farm and Fremont Older Elementary School. Business probably bore the greatest part of the burden of the cost, as well as paying the burden of the tax. It felt wonderful to be head of such a great campaign and to turn over to the city 2 such valuable open space assets. I think that's a good example of how the quality of life was enhanced. I supported the purchase of the Sims property next to McClellan Ranch. I supported the building of the Quinlan Center. I supported the purchase of the park portions of Hoover, Wilson, and Jollyman Parks. I helped bring about the 25-year contract with the Cupertino Union School District for use of all fields to be run by the city. I started the Heritage Parade. It's become a city tradition, and last week celebrated its 5th anniversary with over 100 entries. I suggested and organized the holiday community tree lighting and sing-along festivities that had become a tradition. I believe in working hard in bringing our whole community together in the way that we all united to pass Measure T. Business and residents working together, not business versus residents, but business and residents both bringing about a better Cupertino. Their tax dollars and their civic involvement help pay for the quality of life we so enjoy. Cupertino is a great place to live. We are fortunate to have 3 Fortune 500 companies here that have contributed much to our community. We have maintained a good balance of development and open space, and I want to continue to work in that direction. So I support controlled growth so we can have the kind of Cupertino we all dream about. And I plan to be very diligent about how that growth will take place in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll start the questions. The answers, again, are limited to 1 minute rather than 2. The first question, the city of Cupertino is projecting a revenue shortfall within the next 4 years. What would you propose or support to increase revenues or cut services? We'll start with Mr. Cochrane. Go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and start? I'm sorry, with Mr. Haze.
Part of my platform is to what I am promoting as the downtown renaissance. The concept there is to market what the city of Cupertino has to offer. And being in a competitive position with regional shopping, we have Valco and we also have Valley Fair, is to try to diversify our economy in such a fashion that we have what I call a Main Street USA. The Renaissance, I believe, working with the Chamber and the merchants of the city, would promote and increase the economic vitality for our city.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom.
I'm not really sure we have a problem. If it does, we'll look at it when it comes. I think we should cut the budget. The reason I say I don't think we've got a problem, we just approved 260,000 more square feet for Valco. That should bring in a heck of a lot more retail sales tax, and that's the biggest part of our budget right now. I think we can cut down a lot on the budget that we have. If it's necessary, I'd even be in favor of removing some of the trees and grass from the median on Deanza there. We spend more on that median than we do for all the rest of the parks except for this one right here. That's one thing I think we could cut down on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cochrane.
Well, I guess if you looked right out the back window, you see one way to eliminate waste is I'd shut off the water that's flowing out of that broken sprinkler head right now. But beyond that, what we need to do is consider running our city like a business, and we need to consider looking at what our business counterparts are doing to manage their businesses right now in recessionary times with lower budgets. I've been through several corporate restructurings at Apple and running 2 small businesses right now. I find what we need to do is study our current level of income and our services and expenditures. And I think that there is waste in the city. There's waste in every city. We need to find a way to manage that. We could consider as a blue ribbon committee to study our budget and take a look at where our money is actually being spent right now, because I think there's some places that we can cut. I think some of our services are actually out of line with the money we're taking in. We need to manage our money more wisely, our travel expenses and our big expenditures that we have, such as the purchases of land. Maybe we should negotiate better for them. We overpaid for the Racket Club by about $1.5 million. The appraised value was $6.5 million. We paid $7.9 million. We can't make those kind of expensive mistakes anymore. We just don't have the money to do it.
Thank you. Mr. Dean.
The program that we're trying to implement to get across to you is called the TINO program. We made a presentation yesterday to your Government Affairs Board. It simply goes like this. You're in a price-sensitive market, an extremely price-sensitive market. How do you turn that pattern around? You create cards, some marketing device to generate habit patterns to shop in Cupertino. The plan we came up with is called the TINO plan. Residents get gold cards. Students, employees, people doing business get silver cards. The difference simply is this. Gold cards will get discounts at the sports center, golf course, Quinlan facility, anything like that. Silver cards won't. Second phase, this television equipment here. To all merchants, businessmen, artists, we want to do promos. It's kind of like MTV, but we want to tell people you were here. Not advertisements. Not advertisements. Informational pieces about you, the business community. The equipment, the expensive stuff is done. Secondly, the merchants. We're asking the merchants to roll back their prices at an agreeable level, let's say 15%. We need to make this a competitive, attractive environment. Landlords. Oh, I got cut off for the landlords.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shwe, please.
Yeah, like I said in my speech, I would like first to open up a budget adoption process. Oh, sorry. And we want to identify cost containment measures. I'm sure that in times are tough, we can do that collectively. The second thing, just like on the school board, I would like to build partnership with private sectors and public agencies and optimize our assets and maximize our human resources. The third thing is how do we get small business thriving? And also when Apple move in the big complex, there are a lot of buildings that's going to be vacating. That's why I'm saying that I would like to form a consortium of business leaders, community leaders, and tackle what's coming in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Koppel.
Yes, what I'd like to do is to hire a full-time economic development coordinator to bring in business to take the place of the vacating buildings that we have from businesses that are expanding elsewhere. Contrary to popular belief, they're not moving out, they're expanding elsewhere. I'd also like to respond to Mr. Cochrane. You need to know that Mr. Vidovich wanted $10 to $12 million for that property. We paid $7.9.
And that this free society speaks with power, force, and decision. In this crusade,
the political machine that put these people into office is still run by the same person. You. Democracy. It can't be of the people and for the people if it's not by the people. Vote.
The next question. We'll start with Mr. Bloom on this question. Traffic seems to be a major problem in Cupertino. What would you support or propose to improve that?
About 20 years of history. This is the same answer I gave before. We've said you can't complete Mary Avenue. We've put stop signs on Stelling. We put stop signs on a dozen streets. You can't turn left, you can't turn right. For 20 years, we've been saying what you can't do in Cupertino, and now suddenly they say we've got a traffic problem. Hopefully 85 will do something. We won't know until that's been in for a while if it's going to, but one thing we could do is open our streets back up. That's what they're for traffic. Thank you.
Mr. Cochrane.
I mentioned in my opening remarks about traffic and congestion because it is a big problem in Cupertino. One of the things that we can do that I mentioned already was to computerize or consider computerizing the signals along Stevens Creek. Stevens Creek is our major east-west artery, and right now it's clogged, so we need to consider what we can do with that street. The second thing is we want to make sure that in our development of our city that we don't come up with projects that artificially clog streets like Stevens Creek, such as the Grand Boulevard proposal. I hate to keep coming back to that, but unfortunately that was a program that would have effectively narrowed Stevens Creek from 6 lanes to 4 and would have caused more and more congestion. So we've got to take that into account in all our planning to make sure that traffic is one of the major things that we consider.
Thank you. Mr. Dean.
The key to traffic in Cupertino is basically divided in thirds. A third are students, a third are business, and a third are residents. What we'd really like to see is De Anza College have their own exit and entry to Highway 85. This was proposed 2 years ago. No response. We'd like the schools to get acquainted with corporate and city communities for a battery-operated tram system. We use it for students in the morning. We can do it for transportation of residents, midday, businesses at lunch. Take the people to our customers. What we would like to see is a plan that we implemented called the Gateway Plan. It's an annexation plan where when Highway 85 does open up, we annex the land through the cooperation of San Jose, from Rainbow to Blaney to Bollinger. And then we have complete control of traffic coming out of Saratoga, the new 85 traffic, so they won't cut through our neighborhoods. This is critical. We need to keep our arteries open. When they enter Cupertino from 85, we can control, let's say, no left-hand turns going into Rainbow in that whole section of town. And where do they stay? They stay in front of the merchants. This is critical. It's done.
Thank you. Mr. Shwe.
Thank you. First of all, traffic is always going to be a major challenge in America. Now, I believe we've got to change the attitude. For one, okay, the diamond lane, before I never used it. Now, every time I want to go to San Jose, the first thing I think about is that how do I get somebody to ride in my car, discuss some things, and get to the place. So my attitude is changing. That's number one, I think, basic. The second thing I feel like that way is that the major corporations and the school district or the De Anza College have a major impact. Like elementary school district, this year the Budget Advisory Committee advised us cutting the elementary busing, which I, as for one, is against it because they really dump a lot of traffic on the street. But again, okay, we are short of funds on that. My feeling is also we got to work with schools and the corporation can stagger them. The school and corporation can participate. The buses now using during the daytime we can use for maybe shopping for employee in the corporation. And also like buses turn out, those are very good ideas. Again, thank you.
Ms. Koppel.
Highway 85 is how I became involved in local government when it was on the front page about 11 years ago that we were going to abandon that corridor. So I have very strong feelings about Highway 85, and I do feel that when it is completed, I would like to see that we open up our neighborhood streets. It's always very controversial. I do work hard to protect the neighborhoods, but with 85 completion, maybe that could happen. We could open it back up. Shuttles have been discussed in the past couple years. Hopefully that would happen in the next 4 or 5 years. Obviously, we will have light rail in our lifetime in the next 10 to 20 years, and that would be on Stevens Creek, and has become a high priority for the city of San Jose, and would also help us.
Thank you. Mr. Haze.
25% of all the traffic in the city is commuter traffic. With the opening of Highway 85, it is my expectation, and it should be working with the Public Works Department, to come up with a method in which to get the commuter traffic off of our streets. TDM, traffic demand management programs, such as the one that's being modeled over at Apple Computers, is a good example of how you can manage traffic. Shuttling services, bicycling, and car van pooling. County transit needs to be integrated and work for our city. As it is now, at $600 million, it's not working effectively in our city. And we need to take the traffic out of our neighborhoods. We don't have a responsibility. We have borne the cost by having 85 extended through our city. So it's now time to take that commuter traffic and put it on 85.
Okay, thank you. We'll start the next question with Mr. Cochrane. The city's housing element has not been accepted by the state because it fails to adequately provide or address the issue of affordable housing. What would you propose to remedy this problem?
Well, one solution that's been proposed by some people is that we fight the state on it. I don't think that that's probably going to work too well because in my experience reading about lawsuits with states and cities, it doesn't get worked out very well in favor of the cities in most cases. I think that one thing we can consider is mixed-use housing, and that would be housing on top of retail. And if you look at some examples of that in the Santa Clara County, there have been some real good examples actually in neighboring cities where people have come in and built retail below and say 2 or 3 stories of apartments, and it provides an affordable housing element for the city as well as expanding the retail base that we need in Cupertino. So I think that's one solution that we could look at that would really help.
Thank you. Mr. Dean.
I previously mentioned the Gateway Plan. Another aspect of the Gateway Plan directed towards this very issue is the fact that if you look at the Rainbow, Blaney, Bollinger area, there's apartments there. They're not expensive apartments. That would change our job housing and balance ratio. That plan was developed about 3 years ago in Sacramento. Economic times were a little different then. What you're seeing now is the state is in a $14.5 billion hole. I think some of their perspectives might change. I think major businesses' attitudes are changing. When they came up with the number for an imbalance, they didn't know that Apple was going to move the group from Camden to Denver, to Colorado, to Texas, Napa. They're spreading them all out. That's not an exception. That's a trend.
Thank you. Mr. Shwe.
Thank you. On the goals committee, the trend, it seems like, to mixed-use housing. That will also solve the housing problem, also hopefully increase the retail sales and in turn enhance the revenue. That's one area. Another area, for example, Fremont Older School we just purchased, I believe there's some opportunity there, there's some affordable housing opportunity. And also that the major corporation, I really would like to see that the corporation also take up that slack and find somehow an employer providing housing for employees. That's a concept is widely adopted in the Far East where I came from. I think in America, the time has come that coupled with that, not just solving some of the housing problem, I think we tackle mitigation of transportation and air quality issue. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Koppel.
Housing is always a tough one. When you move to California, you have the all-American dream, single-family resident. Now, what the state has mandated to us, I really have to challenge them. It's a law we have to follow unless we change the law. Have they decided to mandate to the city of Saratoga for more industry? I think not. But in reality, if we're going to have more housing, and particularly density, I think that TANF's proposal has become very creative in providing some sort of housing, and with that, I would hope that that would include affordable. And that's the other thing, when developments do come in, we do need to demand that there be some affordable units.
Thank you. Mr. Haze.
Okay. Between, I believe it was 1987, 88, thereabouts, we only made available 20 units, recognized by the state of California as being affordable. My downtown renaissance is a mixed development, redevelopment activity, 3-block area between Stelling and De Anza Boulevard. We have a great opportunity in which to have affordable units made available. I don't believe that annexation is fair. It's still a regional issue. To annex to make your jobs to housing imbalance come into balance is not a qualifier. And I believe the city of Sunnyvale and Mountain View have taken leadership positions when it comes to rezoning, and we may be looking at rezoning as an opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom.
There are some places for high density in Cupertino. There are long, big roads. They're near shopping. My objection to what's happening is that high density is trying to reach into every nook and cranny, and I really object to that. If we don't fight the state, if we don't fight the developers, the people who get more money, the more units they put on the land, we're going to end up with a city that none of us want to live in. I think we should fight, resist. I think we should do anything we have to do to keep our city beautiful, clean, and not too populated. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Mr. Dean. What are your views on the Grand Boulevard concept?
Grand Boulevard concept, I think, is in a state of flux right now, just to the panel members that are on it. When it initially came out, the input that I heard from the people participating was, hey, it's great, let's try it, let's look at it. As that sat, there's members of the Planning Commission that established another format that runs parallel to De Anza. That was a concept. Crossroads Shopping Center, another concept was directed to Crossroads for high density, high level. I think the question has to be ascertained. Why would you change Stevens Creek from 6 lanes to 4? Why would you have buildings come right up to the front of the street, multiple housing units and stores with parking in the back? I don't see it. That's not a Northern California solution. And it hasn't been finalized yet. What I have seen, I do not get excited about. I think the concentration is, let's get the shopping centers that we have now with vacancies filled. That's step one.
Mr. Shwe.
I believe the city should first work on getting the major nodes on the Stevens Creek Boulevard functioning. What I meaning, like Monte Vista Shopping Center area, De Anza and the Oaks area, get it thriving, and also De Anza Boulevard and Town Center, and lastly, the Valco Fashion Park area. my belief that that area, the business need to be thriving, and people see those nodes are working, and I think the natural next step probably might be to link them up, and you get your grand blowout.
Thank you. Ms. Koppel?
Yes, initially I was very excited about that. It was presented by somebody who could sell ice cubes to Eskimos, and I think a lot of us got caught up in that. In reality, I question whether it's really necessary. There are various forms of it, and I want to keep my options open while it goes through the general plan process, but I really am very apprehensive. It is not my idea.
Thank you. Mr. Haze?
I am promoting what is called the Downtown Renaissance, reminiscent of Main Street, USA. It's a 3-block area between De Anza College and De Anza Boulevard. The Grand Boulevard talks about it as being 6,000 feet all the way from 85 to Portal. 6 lanes being taken out as far as the streetscape, being reduced to 4 lanes. It can be done with 6 lanes. What we're trying to do is look at a way to make it a merchants area with storefronts, housing, and commercial offices. The price tag associated with it would be about $6 million, not $25 million, and it would be no underpass, which has been discussed, and that would equate to $10 million. So in that respect, I've met with private developers, the college, and with merchants to see if it would be feasible, and it looks like the numbers will work towards it.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom?
I'm against it. I don't think we should do it. I think we're trying to make something artificial out of Cupertino, and it's going to cost us maybe up to $50 million, certainly $25 million to do it. I think if we do it, if we continue any more work on it, we should have a vote of the people. We took a vote for $25 million on the park. This is another $25 million. I think the people have a right to say where this money is going to be spent. On the goals committee, we identified 3 areas: De Anza, Valco, and downtown. 3 separate areas of Cupertino. If we're going to do something to unite Cupertino, I'd rather see us somehow unite these 3 areas to make Cupertino better, rather than trying to put an artificial downtown where it'd be very hard to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cochrane?
I've probably been the most outspoken critic of the Grand Boulevard scheme, and I think there are some good parts about it. I think that the potential mixed-use development that I spoke about earlier as one of the facets of the Grand Boulevard is great. However, when you think about it, the increase in taxes, and if we're looking at floating a $25 million bond with interest over 25 years, that costs you between $40 and $60 million any way you slice it. It's a lot of money, and I don't think we can afford it. And also, those of you who are business people out there ought to realize that this is going to come out of your pockets, because one of the proposals was to have a special assessment district. So who pays? Because I don't think the residents are going to pay, so it's going to come out of the businesses. So I don't think you're going to like that part about it. The other thing I spoke about earlier, any plan that would reduce traffic movement along Stevens Creek Boulevard should be stopped immediately, and any plan that has that as one of its facets should be killed.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Mr. Shwe. What do you think should be done with the seminary property? If you think the city should purchase the property, how would the purchase be funded? Mr. Shwe.
First of all, before I answer that, I would like to deal with the Williamson's Act. I, for one, I think the city should have a clear policy on how to deal with that. It's a contract. Under what circumstances will let owner get out of the Williamson Act? That's the first thing. Now, if it's going to be developed, I really think it should be maximize the open space. That's the most benefit to the community. And also, I personally would like to see some moderate income housing built on there. Definitely, I'm against city purchasing it because our revenue for the next 3 to 4 years are shrinking. When we purchase something, you got to know that the burn rate, there are loading factor on there. Sooner or later, you have to pay for it. Thank you.
Ms. Koppel?
Yes, at this time I have no intention of removing it from the Williamson Act. 25% of that property, however, is developable. And I think one of the options we should keep in mind is trading part of that for the other part so that it's contiguous to Mid-Penn and we continue to have our open space. I have talked, did it go off? I have talked with Supervisor McKenna. We do have some options being discussed, but I really can't discuss them publicly at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Haze.
Some of you may know that I've been in the forefront when it comes to St. Joseph's Seminary property. I have worked at the state level, in the county level, and the local level. As a founder of Oaks, thank you. As a founder of Oaks, it's been my desire for the last 18 months to see a way to give a fair return to the San Jose Diocese. As a member of the Cupertino City Council, I will be in the forefront as well. At this point in time, based on the current development plan that's been proposed, I cannot see canceling of the Williamson contract.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom?
My first choice and the ideal choice, I think, would be to leave it as it is. I like to jog there, I like to bike around there, but we've got to be practical. One thing I've brought up, I've been told it won't work, is that if somehow the city could buy it, and then if they could auction it off to the highest bidder, consider this, then we wouldn't have to have the 300 homes that the developer is planning for that right now, and we could do it the right way. Right now, the developer is saying, I'm going to put my homes here, maybe I'll put a park over here for you. I think it's got to be the other way. I think we've got to say a trail would go along here, a park would go here. Now, where do we fit the homes in? My first choice would be to leave it alone. My second, if we must develop it, would be to get as much of I've got 30 seconds left? I've talked that fast? That's great. Do you want to say something else? Do I get 15 more seconds for that? So my first choice would be to leave it as is. My second choice would be to have the city develop it and develop it right. The third choice would be to, okay, let's work with the developer and make him really earn getting rid of the Williamson Act. In other words, we've got something that we can hold over this guy right now. We can say either you do it the way we want it or we don't do it at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cochrane.
I think the St. Joseph Seminary site is kind of like motherhood and apple pie. No one wants to see anything built up there if we can avoid it. However, realistically, we need to take a look at our alternatives today. I would be not in favor of canceling the Williamson Act without a proper environmental study. And if you look at what's happened up there already, the forum development went in without an environmental impact report. And we can't do the same thing here. Fortunately, the city's already done some work to identify the most sensitive areas, but we need to have an environmental impact report, so we don't need to do anything until then. What we really need to look for, though, is a solution that would preserve as much of the open space as possible while giving a fair return to the church. My big fear about leaving the property in the Williamson Act for, say, another 9 or 10 years is that all of a sudden we're going to turn around and find out that the land is worth $50, $150, $250 million, and then who's going to be able to buy it? So what we need to do is put together a group and somehow find a way to raise some money, either through the Mid-Peninsula Open Space and the 4 or 5 other groups, and we need to do it right away. Everybody wants this place, but nobody seems to step up to the bar when it comes to funding it. And the city can't do it. We don't have any money. We can't fund anything like this. So it has to be done by individuals and groups like that.
Thank you. Mr. Dean?
As a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission, we tried to very carefully spell out in the proposal to council the general plan alignments. And in that proposal, we stated that we would like the 10 years, the entire 10 years, to develop funding. It is unrealistic to think you will generate funding in the next 5 to 6 years. It's not there. Ask people that are in commercial real estate right now. It's not there. What we need to do is, they entered into the contract. We have 10 years to develop financing. That's state, federal, and regional. It will not be city. There's no way. That area right now, go down there during the week. During the week, you can't get a parking space. It's invaluable land. It's an asset to this area. It's Northern California style of life, and that's what's critical.
Thank you.
There was a time when an 18-year-old couldn't vote. A time when there was no meaningful way for young adults to express their opinions. What changed that? The 26th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution are words we live by.
That completes the question-answer portion of our program. We'll now close the program by asking each candidate, and we are on schedule, so we will permit each candidate a full 2 minutes. As a closing statement, we'll start with Ms. Koppel for this.
I have been accused of being pro-developer, and it is said that I'm using my open space role as an election year ploy. Fact. 56% of all of Cupertino's open space has been acquired since I've been on City Council. I've also been blamed for the Forum, Seven Springs, the 17-story hotel, and the Portofino development. Fact. The first 3 were approved before I was ever on council, and the last one I voted against. I've also been accused of having big developer friends who have proposed this, up to now, it's $50 million tax rip off the Grand Boulevard. It is said I would like this to serve as my monument to my administration. Fact. My legacy to my constituents is the success of acquiring 56% of all of Cupertino's open space. Fact. The Grand Boulevard was a proposal that came out of the Goals Committee, of which I did not even serve on. I, as mayor, with recommendations from my colleagues, the chamber, and the residents, picked the members of that committee. There is not one developer on it, and I've never attended a meeting. Fact. I haven't even taken a position at this time. I'm very apprehensive. Let's talk about the facts. Let's stop putting out half-truths and outright lies and misleading the public. Cupertino deserves better. I'd like to keep Cupertino a clean campaign. You have 2.5 weeks to do that, and I hope you will join me in this.
Thank you. We'll move to Mr. Haze.
Is it on? It is on. As a candidate, you may ask, Steve, not knowing the outcome of the elections, what have you done in the previous 60 days to prepare yourself for the duties of a council member? And what will you do in these last 3 weeks? My response is that I have and I will continue to meet with industry leaders, educational institutions, human service organizations, private development concerns, business leaders, city staff, and commissioners, and most importantly, the citizens of this community. I have and will continue to attend City Council and Planning Commission meetings. I have and will continue to participate as an interested citizen in the Grand Boulevard study sessions. And I have and will work to see my vision of the future of Cupertino continues to be developed in practical terms. I'm going to paraphrase a quote from Don Allen, who's been on the Grand Boulevard Commission. He said, I've been a resident of 30 years, I'm a banker, I'm president of the chamber. But for me to walk hand in hand with my granddaughter in my town would be the essence of everything we're doing. As a candidate, when I'm asked, why am I running, I say, to bring the best and give the best that Cupertino has to offer to its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bloom.
Cupertino is a wonderful place to live and raise our families. We have great parks, we have great schools, we've had them for 20 years. That's what attracted my family and I in the first place. The city seems to be well managed by professional, competent people. We have great businesses, 3 of the Fortune 500. We have an excellent regional shopping center. Did you want to stand up, Chuck? Take a bow. The question we have to answer is how much more we can have before the quality starts to go down. We have to look to the future. No one can have it all. No person can have it all. No city can have it all. There are limits. There are limits of land. There are limits set by what quality of life we desire. We have to realize that bigger is not always better. The rule of business is expand or die. But the city of Cupertino is not a business. But if it has to act like a business to protect our quality of life, then it should act like a business. If it has to fight for what we want, then it should fight. I've run a business for 21 years. I'm willing to fight. I'll do whatever is necessary to keep Cupertino a good place to live. I'll even plant some poppy seeds. I'd like your help. Come over and make a sign, make a decal, make a button, and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cochrane.
I wanted to just summarize the issues that I spoke about earlier. Basically, we have three major issues in front of us that we need to consider. Managing our city's finances, I think, is number one. We need to do a better job managing our city. I think our city is reasonably well run right now. However, we're running into the situation where our revenues are not going to be able to keep up with our expenses. So you need the help of somebody who's worked in a large business, and I can offer that. As I mentioned, I was a manager at Apple Computer, and I've gone through the reshufflings and organizations and budget cuts, and I think we might need to look at the same kind of opportunity in Cupertino. Currently, I manage 2 small businesses, and I can tell you that every day it's a struggle, so I have to watch the dollars too, and I think I can empathize with a lot of you and your businesses. Number 2, in managing traffic and congestion, and a lot of people don't realize how big an issue this is. If you go out and walk up and down the residence in the household areas of Cupertino, you'll realize that it is a very big issue. So we need to understand that, and we need to do everything we can to minimize the problem and to make sure that all our future planning takes this into account, that we're not going to add traffic and congestion to our city. The third and a very important issue is our open space and parks. And I put those two together because I think in some cases our parks haven't been maintained as well as they could have been. If you take a look at Wilson Park today, you'll see that it has playground equipment that's probably 30 years old. And yet we spent a lot of money for purchasing additional open space. We need to balance those efforts. We need to continue to keep as much open space as we can, and we talked about the St. Joseph Seminary site and our plans there. We need to raise the money and find a way to get that, but the city can't do it. And we need to augment and enhance our existing park facilities.
Thank you. Mr. Dean.
For the past 4 weeks, we have what's called coffees, where you go into homes and talk to people about what the issues are. What overwhelms me from talking to these people day after day after day is the fact they really don't understand our source of revenue. The concept in the business plan that was presented in 1980 said more is better, more will make more money. It doesn't. You look at the total income from property tax, that's Valco, your houses, the tall buildings, you're under $1 million. It's $900,000. It's not cutting it. Your sales tax revenue right now is $6.5 million. A little more, hopefully this year. It's not cutting it. We're off. What the people need to do is realize what's important here. We're all on a team. We're looking at voter turnout that's 20%. That's not healthy. We need to get people involved. This is the inner workings of the city. These are where these people live. What I tried to do in the last 4 weeks is not shoot my mouth off and say, hey guys, this is wrong, this is wrong. We tried to present solutions. The Tino plan can't be described in 2 seconds, 25 minutes, whatever. It takes time to understand the concept. It's an important concept. We're not competitive. We need to turn it around. The Gateway plan, when you first hear the Gateway plan, you'll say, this guy's out of his mind. But it's important strategically to bring it up now in the election campaign. If officials would like to proceed with that, at least it's on the table. What we need to do is get the people behind us, support us as a team, support Cupertino. I don't care who you vote for. Network to people, tell them it's critically important they get involved. This council, whoever is elected, votes on the general plan. That is a major issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shwe.
Thank you. Cupertino is a very unique city. We are blessed with outstanding school system at the elementary, secondary, and college level. A great community with marvelous people who are concerned and involved citizens. And lots of parks, recreational, and cultural facilities. We also have excellent corporations and businesses which any other city would envy. Now, the challenge is to work together in harmony to build a better place for posterity. There's a simple Chinese saying, harmony in a family produces 1,000 blessings. I would like to contribute my talent, time, and energy to work to make sure Cupertino is a better place.
Thank you.
I came to Cupertino in 1974. I believe in our city. This is where I have chosen to work, educate, and raise my children. I believe together we can make a difference. I really would like all of you to join me November 5th, voting for me, Tommy Shwe, as the Cupertino City Councilman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes the formal part of our candidates forum. I'd like to turn the program back over to President Don Allen.
I think that I'll do this as a combination recognition, if I may. First to Rich Abdalah for a marvelous job, well organized and orchestrated, and his coordination of today's activity. I think he deserves a round of applause. And finally to our candidates, and I would like to thank them on behalf of all of you. They have kept pretty much to the high road today. A lot of the questions that were asked of them are not questions with simplistic answers. We would urge you to listen carefully to their answers over the next 2.5 weeks. The easy answers frequently are not the ones that are going to best serve our community. And so you need to dig and probe and prod to try and get the types of meaningful answers that you will always want. We would encourage you to maintain the high road and to not fall into accusations and vituperation and so forth. I think today was a very commendable level of that type of thing. And I think we were particularly pleased with the sense of this being a community for all of us, and we all have common problems, and we all seek common solutions. I would suspect that there's a very good chance that 3 or 4 or perhaps even 5 of the people sitting at this table may lead this community politically into the 21st century. They have 8 or more years to determine what our future is going to be. And it's going to be a great challenge for them. All of us are going to have to help in that process. And I think all of them would agree that they need your help in coming to those types of terms and dealing with the issues that are going to be presented to them. Thanks to all of you. We can reach one thing unanimously here today. Whoever is elected, I think that we have seen from today's discourse, we will be well served for the next 4 years. Thank you for coming.